Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, Chris Forbes. Before this week's episode, I just wanted to do a bit of shameless plugging for my Glasgow Comedy Festival show, which is on sale now. I will be doing a work-in-progress show called Father Christmas at the Stand Comedy Club on Friday the 27th of March. This is a pretty unique show. It is all about Christmas and is set at Christmas. The whole theme of the show is Christmas, but with a twist. If that sounds appealing to you, please come on down and check it out. In the meantime, please enjoy this week's wonderful episode. I was lying in bed last night and I had another one of these perfect examples of a brainworm that I hadn't thought about for at least 4 to 5 months. And then all of a sudden it just popped up into my head. And it was from when I still lived in Glasgow, just at Waverley Gardens. And during lockdown, there was a wee triangle section at Park there. It's a beautiful little bit. Good place for dog walkers to meet. Not for anything, eyebrow raising, but just generally socialising. But because it was right across the road from my house, I took my dog out, Ruby, and she did her business at the kind of far end of the triangle, and I realised I didn't have a poo bag on me. And any dog owner will tell you it's a terrible feeling, like you feel terrible. So because it was so close, I just nipped back across the road with the dog, left the dog in the flat. She's done her business, and I ran back down with a poo bag. And then whilst I was picking up a poo, somebody else came into the park with their dog, but then just saw me, just a man with no animal, picking up shit. And I knew it looked weird, but the sentence that came out from me when I looked up was just, "No, this is mine from earlier." And I just think about the look on that person's face, just when I'm not expecting it, just bang, back in my head, haunted. But listen, that's what this podcast is all about. These horrible little brainworms and memories that you just cannot shift, and we're trying to get rid of these dead flowers. Keep sending in your own stories as well. I promise I will get back to reading out some of yours. But once again, welcome back to Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, Chris Forbes, in association with the Stand Comedy Club. Stop watering dead flowers. I'm delighted to say with me on the couch, in the garden, as we like to say in the podcast this week, is the wonderful Martin Quinn. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad. It is funny because we've just been kind of having a nice chat for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And now we're having a organised chat.
Well, yeah, it's going to dry up now. I think we had our best days are behind us already.
As way of introduction, I think it's fair to say a multi-talented performer that seems to be all over everything right now. We've got TV, theatre, music, comedy, politics.
Porn?
Oh, porn.
Yeah.
I said porn politics. But that's very fair to say. Like, I feel like you've I don't know what this is.
Spread myself really thin. Yeah, I feel that as well.
You've been very successful in lots of different mediums.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I mean, it's trying things out, I suppose.
Aye.
And seeing. I did try music as well at one point. That didn't go that well.
I thought the music, because I seen, and you had the music video that came out for it that was really good as well.
That is my big brother's stuff that he is constantly...
Oh, that's great.
He's constantly roping me in to fucking make music videos for him, and because he was in the music world, I keep making music videos for his pals and different people. I can't seem to fucking escape it.
But I have seen and heard your stuff because it's under a different. Is it Quinny Music? And
oh no, that's my brother. Is Quinny's music. Quinny, he'd be down as, which is hilarious because I think Paul Black had a character that was taking the piss out of singer-songwriters called Quinny, but which is brilliant. No, mine was a band I had in drama school called Velcro Love. The idea behind Velcro Love was like pubes and sex.
Wow, because in my mind there you were going to go romantic, like you found your Velcro person.
Oh, sorry.
But you really went the other way there.
Sorry.
Yeah, pubes.
Yeah, and I did it with, I set up the band. Well, it was a band I had kind of towards the end of school, with some people in Paisley, my mate Gary, my mate Mary Collins, who's a really good musician, by the way, and roped my brother in to play drums for us. But then when I went down to London to drama school, I set it up with this brilliant musician. He's called Samuel Blanken, but he's an actor now. And he's in Alien. You know Alien Earth?
Yeah.
He's in that sci-fi.
Wow.
There's another guy in my year called Stefan Kenneth. He's always busy fucking filming stuff. And we had a wee band together, and I just called them Velcro Love again. And we were actually really good. I don't think we were ever very good at recording in a studio, or I think we would have had to have taken more time to really get used to it. There's only like we did a couple of tracks, and I'm maybe happy with like one or two of them.
Right.
But I think our live stuff was really nice, really warm. They made my songs bearable.
Listen, that similar in the comedy world, isn't it? I mean, Sean would testify to that. People love hearing from Sean in the background, but there's a lot of people that are great live, and then sometimes just when something's filmed, it loses something.
Do you think that the actual performance is changing or stiffening up, or do you think that...
I don't know. I think there's some bands or some performers are just part of the enjoyment of what they do is in the performance of it. So when it's just recorded, it loses that element of the kind of the spontaneity and the immediacy of it.
Yeah.
And I feel that in all the art forms, that there's people that work best on and off.
You've kind of got to push through a little bit. Like, the first time I remember recording a song, I was really stiff, and I'd had really, I'd had loads of compliments say on how my voice sounded, right, and the compliments actually fucked me up more because I was like, right, I've got to manage to get exactly what people like about my voice, and then I was like I was so, I keep saying stiff. I'm going to stop saying stiff, but I felt even listening to it, that is a stiff man, and then. I don't know, I put out a live EP, and that's the one that I'm happiest with because I wasn't thinking about it. I was like...
Well, then recording, I mean, I guess we're talking about music now as well, but it is funny that when I think of like stories or documentaries I've seen of certain bands where they're like, it's about finding the right producer or the right person that's like, oh, the best way to capture this sound is to do it like this. Because they realised, well, when you all break apart and do individual bit, let's record this live, and it just, you got to find the right ingredients.
Yeah, but it's like, it's so relevant to the other art forms because like I just fucking hate calling like acting art. I just think it's so fucking wanky. But like,
we're a couple of artists here.
Oh, I fucking hate it. It's different. It's not drawn. Like, just fucking
welcome
drawings.
To How to Make Successful Art. Mr. Forbes, Mr. Quinn.
I just hate it. I think it's quite self-important when people call it art, but I see why they do it, but I'm just a bit like, whatever, man. Like, how can my fucking little videos be fucking art? It's just like me getting my arse out. But what I was going to say was like, when acting, so like you can get used to theatre, which is what like my drama school definitely focused on, and then you get a camera in front of you, and you've got to sort your coverage separate to their coverage, and then also you've got to like maybe overdub your performance or something like that with ADR and ADR, and then it's like it's breaking it down in the same way that going from a band playing live to recording your bits, and you've kind of got to find a way to not be robotic about it and to find life in those wee moments within a structure, and it's easy to have a panic attack
because ultimately it's false. When you're doing it that way, that's not how you are doing it. So breaking it down to be false, and then you have to find a way to make it look like it was. And it's weird.
Do you find a difference between performing in front of an audience to then when they're doing a filmed version of the audience?
Hugely. And I mean, a lot of like the few reviews I've had that have been positive. Certainly not for a gig in Kilwinning. Don't know if I've ever mentioned that in this podcast, but. I'm often described as a very physical comedian, and a lot of the set pieces I do are very physical. But the couple of times I've attempted to like film my show, to do we were talking about clips, and comics have clips, I feel like I was just stood there like, God, this has been filmed. I'm so self-conscious now. Don't want to move my arms because I hate my arms. They're so long.
Oh, you become aware of it, yeah.
What if I move around too much and then they can't get the clip in the thing? It was awful. And I felt like, well, this isn't how I would normally perform.
Yeah.
Now I'm catering for what I think the camera needs. It was
man.
Awful.
Yeah, but I think that is like natural. Bill Nye, I actually fucking hate watching clips of actors give like advice, right?
Yeah.
Because it's always contradictory and like, you know, they're all different, and also just because that works for them doesn't mean I should do it that way. But Bill Nye says a really good thing, because I think I like the ones when they're really self-deprecating. And Bill Nye said, talked about, and Alan Rickman actually talked about it as well, like, first of all, drying on the words, which is a terrifying experience. But Bill Nye talked about being on stage, and he says he was so worried about moving his arms. He's like, he now has to get his arms above his head as early as possible in the process. So at some point on set, just getting the arms up, or in his performance, and he's like, I'll feel, he words it quite well, I'll feel less bad for longer, which I quite like. Because he did some performance, I think he was talking about it, where his arms, he just felt were like by his side the whole time. But he's not, when you think of him, you don't think of him as like that.
But now that you've mentioned that, I feel like I can picture scenes where he's just been like kind of,
he's managing
like, that's what he's done that for.
It's great though, if it
need to do
unlocks
that.
you, like ways to unlock you. But like, I say this as
arms.
someone, you hate your arms.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I'll try and do it. Very self-conscious about them.
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, I feel exactly what you're describing. Like, not about you, about myself. Because you can get very self-conscious, and yet, say you're in your own comfort zone, like for me, that might be making daft videos with Steve, right? Trying to then match the energy and approach I have to and the fun I have when doing that, to then being on a set with a bunch of like professionals and time pressure and money, and like, how the fuck do you do that? Do you just have the arrogance of like a god?
Yeah, wild.
Who knows? Do you find though being on set when you're filming stuff stiffened you as well? You know, like
certainly
acting?
at first, and if it's a new job, yes. And I think that's when people are like, how important is it to have like good directors and crew, and because everything I think goes into making you feel more relaxed and comfortable. But the minute your first experience of an actual big camera, like, and you'll know as well the whole thing of, it's even easier when the camera's running, but you know the shots on someone else, and you're just doing your stuff. And then they're like, right, we're on you now, Martin, and you're like, it's awful.
Or the opposite happens, where you do your coverage, then they turn around on someone else, and you're like, oh, I should have done it differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because you're not putting pressure, you're not thinking about it. It's hard, man.
That's why, and I promise we will move into the actual podcast soon, but this is really interesting. You know, and I sometimes think actors, because sometimes huge actors will be like, I'll go back to theatre, and people think that they're lying when they're like, I just miss theatre. I'd still like to do theatre. Again, the immediacy and the realness of that, and the reactions, and that's why people still love doing theatre, no matter how big a project they might have been on, you know. And
yeah, and also I think it's not the version of acting that is broken down.
Yeah.
So you get a full run of a scene or a couple of scenes back to back without stopping, rather than like constantly stopping and moving. And you know, even in a scene, you break it up, don't you?
I wish I didn't see it. I easily lied there. I don't know why I'm saying that out loud, but I heard so many good things about Radiant Vermin, and was gutted I never got to see that.
Oh yeah, it was only a short run. At the Tron with Danny. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was so anxious that whole time, so I actually don't know how it came across. Like, my character was anxious, so I just hoped that my anxiety was believable. But it was just so, we had to keep finishing each other's sentences, and that was just like
timing to get that right.
Yeah, and like some plays, like Chekhov plays, not that I've ever professionally done a Chekhov, we just did it at drama school, but like you could maybe take your time and like maybe relax on stage and just be alive in it, right? This was like, not be on it, like be listening, and from the get-go you've got to cut off each other's word, and then at the end of the play there's this mad piece where we play like 13 characters between the two of us,
right?
And so you knew every night that was coming up,
and
it was terrifying, and I just didn't relax at all. But it was nice to hear that you heard some people liked it. Nobody told me that.
Everybody said they loved it. It was great.
Thank you, man.
But yes, as before we get into the podcast, and as you've mentioned there as well, people might also know you from like Stephen Buchanan sketches, you two, your own
You too.
stuff.
The guy for you too. I'm
You
at.
two together.
Panicking.
Some people might have seen you in plays, they might have heard your music. Some people might be more familiar now as well as the new Montgomery Scott, to give him his official title,
Yeah.
in the Star Trek TV series.
Lieutenant junior grade.
Oh, wowza. Is that his full title?
Yeah, at the moment. Also that we should be saying lieutenant.
Is that right?
You know, a lot of people don't know this. Lieutenant
Lieutenant.
is what we should be saying. It's Americanized to say lieutenant.
Oh.
But that's one of the many things that are going to burn out. My dad used to be an English teacher years ago, so that's why I've got annoying things like this.
Lieutenant.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm constantly asking my dad. Well, I run the lines with my dad, but you know, for the English version of these things, because they're often Americanized in the script.
Bastardized.
Yes.
By these Hollywood elitists. The reason I have such a fascination to hear a little bit more about Star Trek is because, and you must have heard this from loads of people, because I'd imagine it was a big role, lots of people going for it. I myself auditioned for the same role. And at the time, I think there was a wave of excitement through the kind of comedy scene, because word seemed to have gotten out that they were looking, which seems like the kind of thing that if you're an aspiring actor and you think that doesn't happen anymore, that the casting director was truly looking to find an actual legitimate Scottish comedy actor performer, because they'd contacted comedy clubs as well as like comedy agents, like, who is there? So loads of comics, I know you know a few as well, had the chance just all of a sudden out of the blue to audition for this seemingly massive thing.
Did you know what it was though?
I did not until I got the script, and the reason I feel like, and this isn't like this isn't an ambush.
No.
The whole experience was one of the best things in my life, because even just to get an audition for something like that was like, how? Now I have this incredible story about it. I was contacted directly because bizarrely Daniel Sloss's agent, who I know, knew the Marjorie Simkin, I think was the cast director, and had been like, is there anyone you'd recommend? And she'd suggested a few names, and I was one of them. Great. So Marjorie didn't know my agent, or if I had an agent, so she had just given this highly powerful casting director, like it seemed unbelievable. Marjorie Simkin had emailed my old Hotmail address, which is funtimeforbesy at hotmail.com. I haven't used it for that long because it was someone I didn't know. I maybe once a week will check my junk mail, and I had an email in there, and I was like, that's funny, there's something, it says casting. I thought I'll click on it. Genuinely thought it was like a spam thing, because it was like, we're working on a project over here in the States.
Yeah.
Can you get back to me? And I thought, I'm not just going to call this.
Can you send me money?
American number, like mad, you know. And then I noticed there was another email, and they're like, you know, this is time sensitive. Can you give us a call? And at the time, this is a really long story, I realise.
No, it's good.
At the time, when I got that second email, I was sitting in Glasgow Queen Street Station with Karen Fishwick, that you might know as well, brilliant actress, about to go up and film The Farm, the sitcom we did with Jim Smith. And I was like, do you think this is legit? Like, you know, and she was like, I think so, like, call the number type of thing. And I just phoned up, and so all of a sudden I was just on the phone, and I didn't know who Marjorie Simkin was, I'll be honest. If you Google that name, you'll be like, oh, you probably really should have known who that was.
I think she's on the Avatar films.
Yeah, man. She like, once I did find
You're
out,
laughing at the Avatar
well,
films.
once I did find out, it was like, and I did tell my agent. She was like, what? And she's like, sent me a screenshot of she'd literally the day before I'd been watching Top Gun, and it was like casting by Marjorie Simkin.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I said I was just on the phone with her, and she was like, so Marjorie just was like, oh, I knew I'd get a hold of you. I've been trying to get them. I'm going to send you a script. If you can do the tape, we need it back by, and it was like maybe 2 or 3 days. But I was getting my hair cut that night for The Farm, which was a mentalist farmhand that cut his own hair and taken chunks out of it. So really, I had to do it that night, like before The Farm started. So, and I was like, I was still skeptical kind of about the whole thing. And I was like, what like, what is it? Do I need to know anything about this before you send it over? And she went, just keep in mind that even if it's wherever the scene is, just play it real. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, just say it was a courtroom scene, just play it like it's a courtroom scene and just forget that you're in space. I was like, what the hell is she talking about?
Yeah.
And then I started to read the scene, and it was called some code name. It was like two people's names.
Yeah.
But it became very, very evident who the characters were as I was reading it. And even Karen's like, I think that's Star Trek. Like, that's really obviously Scotty. And
She must know her stuff though.
well, interestingly, I think it was the day before, the very first line, which I know from having seen your a video you put up, which was the first line was, "You're not Raven," in this tape that you had to do. And I think you put up a funny wee video of like a shot from you doing that line.
Yeah.
Karen was like, "Oh my god, an English pal of mine that's an actor had asked me how I would pronounce Raven in a Scottish accent." I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh no way!" So this is like ongoing. So we shot it that night, and to be fair, it's probably the only time I've had a really professional looking tape, because obviously the whole production team was just going up to set up base in Perth, and I asked the director, I was like, can we like use a good camera and a light to film this, because I think it's like quite a big thing. She was like, what's it for? I was like, we can't say. And we filmed this tape, like we had to, quite big scenes for just that initial tape.
Aye.
Two of them, but we had to learn it just on the train on the way up. Karen was brilliant with me, did the tape. And then halfway through the week, Marjorie was like, go back in touch with me direct, still going, everyone loved what they saw. We'd like to do a recall tape just via Zoom again, with the showrunner and a few of the other execs and producers. And I was like, oh wow, like I can't believe this is a possibility even. But I said to her, look, we finished this on Friday. So I was like, I'll get back on Friday night, but my hair will be completely different. And she was saying, but can you send me can we have a quick practice Zoom so I can see your setup and how your lights will be? And I said, I can't do that because I'm not at home. So whatever I show you here is not going to be the same. She went, is there anyone at your house? I said, well, my wife. I mean, we've just had a baby, because this was my first.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, I'll Zoom call her. So my God, she Zoom called my wife.
Wow.
And my wife was like pajamas, holding a baby. I had just phoned her really quickly and went, look, this like casting director from LA is just about to phone you and ask you to set up, like my tripod and like the ring light. Can you like set that up and see if it's any good? And she was like, what the? And she's like, she doesn't like the arts at all. No, that's a lie. Like, but she's not in the arts, and she thinks it's all quite silly.
Yeah.
Which is probably quite good, because then Margaret phoned me back. She's like, we spoke to your wife. She's adorable. She was in her pajamas. Because Ellen was just like, what do you want me to do? And like, so she set that up so that on Friday when I got home, it was basically like half an hour to get in and go on this next Zoom call with like loads of them.
Aye.
And so I was just like, I couldn't even believe that was happening. Met the showrunner, met all the people.
Oh yeah.
I felt like it went all right. It was a good long kind of hour, kind of going, try it this way, try it that way. People doing it, getting really paranoid when one of them was like, is it lagging? I think it's lagging. Can you check your Wi-Fi? And I was like, oh my God.
You're like, is that just my I'm
Yeah.
taking pauses or something like that?
And I'm like, what's going on here? I was like, as actors, you're always thinking, maybe this is the role that'll make me feel vindicated as a real person. Maybe my in-laws will finally like me if I do something they've heard of. But anyway, it seemed to all go well. They said, we'll be in touch, type of thing. And then about a week goes past, and I'm thinking, what a rush, man. Like, that was just a great experience.
Yeah.
And then Marjorie's like, we've been doing a deep dive on you, like going back through your social media. Are you definitely okay if you had to fly out to Canada like next month? Like, it was all quite last minute, it felt. Not last minute, but like, I was like, God, this is getting close. So I must be kind of there or thereabouts. And then they got back in touch one more time. And she was quite funny, because she was like, I'll be honest with you, I would very rarely have this direct type of contact with an actor, because by this point we had that rapport that she wasn't going via my agent. And then eventually, when she was like, we better look them in properly, my agent phoned and said, oh, she really just gave us a bit of a kick up the arse as well, because she was like, she wouldn't have known anything about you or what you've done, or which is not a lot anyway, but I was quite pleased. I was like,
yeah. What made them realise they need to be kind of promoting you
Yeah,
more?
I mean,
or-
I don't think there's much more they can do, but I just thought it was quite nice that this kind of high powered person was like, Chris is great, you got to get him out there.
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah.
But what a wild thing to even think I was in the running.
Yeah, amazing.
And then by that point, my agent sent me an email and they said, look, this is probably the nicest no you'll ever get, and like attached an email, and it was just like this really nice thing about that classic type of stuff of like, there's nothing that you did, we just
Yeah.
went a different way, and they were looking, in physicalities. And so because I was like, oh, it felt like I might have been down in amongst it, I always thought, I wonder who got it, I wonder who got it. So that's how, before this started, I said to Martin, I've been aware of you more than you realise. Because then when it was announced, I was like, and I was so, that way, I was almost relieved it wasn't like another 6'3" lanky guy.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, oh yeah, he's like a wee guy and he's a totally different type of character. And I was like, that's brilliant. Because then it was
good.
like a relief.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's some that sting, and there's others that you're like, oh, I can see how there's nothing I could have done, but physicality
Yeah.
is different. And especially when you're playing a younger version of someone, I always feel that relieves a bit of the pressure on you, because you're just a bit like, I either convince them that I'm a younger version or I don't,
Yeah.
and then there's nothing ability wise
Well,
you can do.
I'm older as well, but honestly, to have got as far as I got, and I kept thinking, I'm not even like a real actor, and I was like a real actor should get this part. This
No.
feels like an iconic role, and I
No,
feel
but
like
you've done quite a
I
lot
was
of
like,
film and
Martin's
stuff.
an actor, like, this
Well,
guy's
I don't-
done Shakespeare, man. This guy's done it.
Well, but you
But it was
might have been better actually for the age, because some of the fans who have read books, I think there was books on it, not written by Gene Roddenberry. That's the guy, whose
Right.
Star Trek was his creation. He didn't write these books, but I think I'm correct in saying this. I hope I've not got this wrong. Some of the co-writers, one of them might have written some books, right? Now, some of the fans think that is canon and should be.
Oh, really?
And some people are in disagreement about that.
Because there's real diehard purists and all that. And
Yeah. And so in those books, I think there are certain things about the age of the character and the history of the character. And you might have been closer age-wise to what they were wanting to close the gap between you and the guy playing Kirk and the guy playing. So at the moment, some fans think I'm a little bit too young, but I suppose I'm also quite haggard looking. So
I'm putting this right down to just, we don't even know each other that well, but extreme kindness and politeness from you there.
me, no,
To be like, do you know what? You might have been pretty good as.
no, you'd have been great.
I'm like, oh,
You'd have
thanks,
been
man.
great. Also, I hadn't done that much filming by then. I did more theatre, and I had a couple of bits, and they were really scrambling. I had done a couple of bits, like a bit in Derry Girls. I did this film, Our Ladies, and we were scrambling to try and like find those clips and clip them and send them.
I had to do the same thing. One of the times was we couldn't find lots of. She said we've seen lots of sketches online and
Yeah.
stuff, and my show reel hadn't been updated at that point for like 5 years. So I'm just like, I just do Scottish stuff for TV, but Scots. And she was like, have you got other stuff? And like 3 months before I'd done a short film that hadn't even been finished edited, and I was like, is there any chance I could get like the scenes that I'm in, because I need to send
of
them to
course.
someone? And
I was doing the same.
it was mad, wasn't it? But I'm so pleased they really went out of their way to find, like, we really want to search and find a Scottish kind of good comic actor, rather than just be like, I don't know, cast some American that was over there that put on an accent.
I know, and they're great for that. And I don't.
But that's honestly, ever since I knew it was you, and I've mentioned to Stephen and Stuart, I was like, and Connor, I've been desperate to know what it actually was like in terms of, did it feel as mental for you when you actually A, got the audition, or B, when you got it and thought, I'm doing Star Trek? Like, it must be a surreal occurrence to be
Yeah.
like, this is such an iconic type of show.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time, so it was still kind of coming out of COVID-y stuff. When I did go over, they were still testing you and stuff.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually caught COVID until after that shoot. I probably caught it on the plane coming back. But like, it was a weird time, and as far as like my career is concerned,
Yeah.
COVID obviously brought everything to a halt. And I kind of thought, coming out of COVID, when theatres in Scotland reopened in 2021, I was like, if I can just piece together a career in Scotland theatre-wise, then that will do. And it's funny, when it was only a month or two after that, I did a couple of plays the start of that year, 2022, and I slowly started... Sorry, I was accepting the fact theatre might be just for me in Scotland if I can manage that. And then all of a sudden, when I stopped trying with my TV auditions as much, maybe stopped putting pressure on it, I actually managed to get somewhere with that one. I think maybe before that, and also I do still slip into that, I put a lot of pressure on myself with these auditions and be like, for your narrative of your life, this is where you should be getting this. And actually, it's probably better to be like, we'll just see. But it's hard to let go of that. I did it recently because we've just come to the end of filming Star Trek now. We've wrapped on season 5, and you know, I had to start auditioning again for stuff, and all of a sudden the old like scary pressure was back on, and it's all self pressure really. Like you don't need to, or one doesn't need to put it on themselves, but fucking scary. But sorry, I didn't even answer your question. What were you asking? You were like, was it a mad experience? Getting it?
I just, in terms of, because I was imagining like what came next for whoever got it, and it was like, were you kind of straight over to Canada, and it was like just like, oh, this is happening.
It was all go.
Comparatively to like UK television, was it very different, kind of bigger scale, more people?
Yeah, I'd only, like I said earlier, I think I'd only done like Derry Girls and this film Our Ladies, and a day on Scott Squad, and a day on Annika or something like that, and I did a day on Limmy's show when I was like 14, right? So that was, I think, unless I'm forgetting something, other than that, it was just kind of indie stuff with pals and short films. And then, so obviously it's bigger than that. Derry Girls was quite a big show, as in, I'm pretty sure we had 2 cameras, but everything, when I went over to Canada, everything had 2 cameras. And like the team, they had so many hands on deck all the time that it was such a fast moving process. Everything was like a really well oiled machine. You were still sitting about, but even that was made to feel timed, and like it was all kind of moving a lot quicker. And everyone's so polite over there. They say that about Canadians in general. But I don't know if it's maybe because... but crews here are very polite as well.
Yeah, but I know, as a quick aside, I was over in Toronto once gigging at Yucks, and I bumped into a police officer when I was a bit drunk. Like, not like on purpose, like fucking police. I just bumped into him and came out, and he went, "Hey, sorry about that." he kind of like straightened me up, and I was like, "No way!" It's amazing. So.
Even the police.
Yeah.
I know, but I do think it's easier for them because just across the border is like arsehole American police. So it's a fucking improvement. Yeah, I mean, it was mad. Yeah, you could tell that there was a lot of money being poured into this thing.
Yeah.
And it was fast moving. I was also sitting about for fucking ages. I got the job, and then I was in Canada for about 3 weeks, but I was only really working 8 days of that or something. So and that'd been kind of COVID times. I lost my mind a bit.
Is there a point where because it's Star Trek, like, I think everyone know what I mean by that, like, because it's such a renowned thing, is there a point where that kind of you get over that and just go, it's just a job, or are you constantly kind of going, this is Star Trek, like I've got the suit on, I've got the wee logo, like, is it, or does it just become like, right, yeah, okay, that's what it is, and now I'm doing it?
No, I mean, it is quite constantly a buzz, and you're always kind of, yeah, I suppose, right, it's 13-hour shoots over there. So you're there, like, you're getting picked up at like 4 a.m. and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely there are points that dip in the day that you're like, fucking hell, I just need my bed. So, that does take the shine off.
I'm more of a Star Wars guy.
Oh no, that when was it? I was going to talk about, Ewan McGregor being Scottish, and I was doing promo for the show, and they were like, please don't. You're just talking about another show. No, they didn't. I would just mention that to them beforehand, but it's just because of the Scottish connection that I wanted to bring that up. I was such a fan of the fact that there was a Scotsman in space, and that was the difference between Star Trek for us. I didn't ever watch it. Did you beforehand?
I wasn't like a big
I think
Trekkie,
it's because
as
of
they
that.
say. Aye.
Personally, there are plenty of Scottish Trekkies, but I felt like this, like, it just shows in a really small example the power of representation. Because when you saw Ewan McGregor, I was a perfect age as well for
Listen,
that.
no one was watching tennis till Andy Murray. Like anything, like anything with a Scottish interest, you tune in.
Absolutely, you're like, oh my god, so it's possible.
Hey, I've been curling daft watching the Winter Olympics because the Scots are just killing it.
I watched a video on that today. They make the curling balls out of the Ailsa Craig.
I seen the same video
This morning. That was the first thing I woke up to, like that. Anyway, sorry. But yeah. Sorry, I rambled there about Star Trek because I think as well I forget what people want to hear about it.
But no, it's fascinating. I think you take it for granted how much that anything behind the scenes is like pretty fascinating to hear, because all people see is what's on the screen. So it's like, how did you get from just sitting on your couch one day to there? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. They're a great team over there. I really want. They're pitching for a spin-off,
right?
And we haven't had the green light, but we also haven't had the red light. So I would love to get back out there. I don't know if I fully realised how much that was the dream job, as in for me to just go in and play every day with a team that I'm comfortable with. It got really fun. I mean, obviously you were scared at first, or I was scared, and a lot of it was adrenaline, and then when the adrenaline left, I was still trying to find my feet. And then I was like, okay, I found my feet. This is great. I'm able to play. And it's hard because there's time pressures. So sometimes you're like, I'm not getting the most out of this because we've got to get moving. And sometimes you don't like the choreography, the blocking of the scene. But you're like, right, I don't have time to fuck it. I'll just make it work. Moments like that are hard. But I started getting really good with those challenges. I started getting really good with like the lack of sleep as well. And like, I have no doubt in myself that I can act. Can I act at 2 a.m. when like I've been there for like 8 hours? But like I was starting to get good at that and have more confidence in myself and play a little bit more. And then it comes to an end. So I would love to go out and do it again purely as a like, I feel like we were also finding something that could continue further. Even just with the crew. The crew are amazing, man. They're like, I mean, you can't get too distracted with like that side of things. Like, it is about what's happening in the scene, but like the crew are so supportive in helping you get to that place. Does that make sense? Sorry, I kind of rambled there, but and they were a really special team who all cared, as in so things got broken up because of the strike as well, and COVID was a bit of a problem. But they were a lot of the crew were turning down other work so that they could stay for the next season of this show. And like, how special is that they felt such, and rightly so, an ownership and a teamwork that meant that they wanted to continue together for 5 years, which was really special. I mean, like, and I feel like, whilst I was talking about myself coming to grips with it all, I feel like also the writing was getting to know who I am and the way I talk, and then it was all coming together. So fingers crossed we get to continue it. But
I hope so. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you as well.
Thank you.
It's great. It's a beautiful story.
Well, yeah, it becomes beautiful. It was adrenaline fueled and anxiety ridden for the first bit.
There was an actor that said, maybe it was Brian Sullivan who told me this, but I can't remember who told him, that said in the acting world, there's the only time you feel good about, maybe not yourself, is too dark to say, but the only time you feel good about a job is when you get told you've got it. Everything the build up is, did I do it right? Could I have done that better in the addition, the tape? I don't know. And then if you get it, it's like, oh my God, I got the part. And then instantly you go, how am I going to do it? I can't do it. How did it go? I've ruined it. So you just get that one real sharp,
absolutely
kind of, yes. Oh no.
I know.
It's terrifying.
I know, and the anxiety. But I think that's a good thing to remember in moments of anxiety, that it never ends. I remember when I wasn't getting work as an actor, I thought that was all I needed, was a job to not feel anxious. Then you get a job and it's what you just said.
Oh, God.
I know. But how did you find moving into, like, the first thing that you filmed? Like something like Scott Squad, right?
Yeah.
Did you find that towards when did you find you were comfortable with that process? Because that's a mad process. That's a different process.
Yeah. Well, my first ever TV job was pretty fresh out of college as well. And I had an audition for Dear Green Place, which was the spin-off, after Still Game had finished the first time. And it was Paul Riley, and they were doing it through F&G Productions, which was Greg and Ford's production company. So I was like, oh wow, this will be the next kind of big Scottish thing. And it just had one season, but my scene was to go in, and I had 2 lines, but my first scene I just had to shout, "Shut it, you tashy prick." It was very much a kind of chewing the fat, Still Game type of thing. And I was so worked up about having to do this line. And such a classic thing of, like, I'd never done TV before. Before I went to college, there was no sort of modular course for the TV side of things. It was all theatre. So when I went out and it came to my line, it was just like, right, Chris, now we just need to get you that line when you see him. When he starts talking, I just came in like, "Shut it, you tashy prick!" Like, fucking yelled it, and everyone just almost that people were laughing that way, of people going, "Oh, well, you can bring it right down, okay? You're mic'd up. You can really bring it down for TV and stuff." I think they knew I was just young and
Yeah.
But the whole it was everything. First time seeing camera crew and people, and even on a Scottish production, which can be pretty small. But for Scott Squad, which was improvised, me and Ashley still talk about this because we basically say the same line to each other every series in over 10 years. But the very first day of season 1, both of us for the first time in a kind of main thing that was going to be part of the show, Noddy, the director, was going around going, he was more obsessed with obviously trying to capture the documentary feel. So, like, camera's going to move around here and you're going to there. We'll figure it out and they're going to do that. And there's no script, so we're waiting for him to be like, start on you come in with this line. But he just set everything up in terms of where they were going to move to make it look like they were following us. And then he just went, right, well, we'll just go for one. And both of us just looked at each other and went, just a look. We didn't even say a line at first. And then we looked at him and we went, what do you want us to do? Like, how do you do it? Like, we hadn't been...
Man.
And I think he took it for granted maybe that actors would know what to do on a set.
Yeah, but that's like...
But he was like, oh yeah, sorry, right,
we'll
we'll come in, if you can move from here to there, and we'll start talking about what's happened. And, like, we knew it was going to be improv, but on the set, we didn't know how free you could be around the cameras moving, and so it was just wild. So
that must have been a great though exercise as a performer. Like,
God. So then the first day every series afterwards, we always just went, "Do you know what you're doing? No. Do you know? No." And then we just go, "Let's see what happens."
And did you eventually become very comfortable with that?
Yeah, and I mean, I always loved. There's a reason there was loads of comics throughout the series as it went along, because it really lent itself to stand-ups and improvised comedy. But I did love it, but certainly it felt like it took, a couple of seasons to feel more relaxed with doing that around a whole crew of people, and to not have a reaction, because usually being funny on stage or improvising, you get an immediate reaction, whereas this was doing it dry. Sometimes afterwards they'd be like, "Oh, that was funny," or
I bet you don't
the camera guy would be like, "Oh, I was trying to hold the camera steady," or like trying to make you feel like, yes, it was funny, because they can't react, they're just having to play it straight.
I did one scene on it, and I still cringe at some of my bad patter that didn't make the cut. Like, I still play it over in my head, like, oh, that was terrible. And it was just like, and thank God they cut it out, and it was okay in the end. It's because though, like, Sally and Jordan I was with, and they're just like, well, you all are, but you all are amazing. I don't know how you. Like, you're talking about, did Star Trek ever kind of lose its maybe shine or what for me? I'm like, for you, and I said there sometimes, like, 10 hours into like a shoot when you've been picked up at 4, I might go, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't imagine having to turn up and bring the patter as well as the performance. Like, I think I would be like, for fuck's sake, would somebody else do something? Because, like, I mean, I know that they would write out some scenarios for you and give you some lines, which must have been a great relief. But when I'm performing, I don't feel alone because I have the writer with you. Whereas you're going out largely having to bring all of your own charm, and it's amazing. And I think I would get exhausted doing that. Like, how did it work? Were you there? were you block shooting for a whole week? Like, were
Basically,
you...
everyone's basically in pairs. So yeah, Jordan and Sally be out for 5 days, and Bobby and Karen and me and Ashley. And if you could get 5 days straight, depending on everyone's availability, it was wonderful. Sometimes the 5 days were dotted about, but you'd basically be able to do a whole series worth in your 5 days.
Wow.
Because of how much it was cut up, and you'd film maybe 12 stories, but they'd use 6. So, but
Is that all, really?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a few shorter ones, but they would only need 6 stories for each set of characters.
Yeah, of course.
One each ep, so they would film
Yeah.
more than we need, and we always felt like the ones that we enjoyed the most or didn't make it.
Yeah.
It was always about balancing it between stories, but I loved it. As a performer and someone that likes to write, I always loved the fact that we had the freedom to do that, and always thought it was a nice touch that when it won its Scottish BAFTA, which is something. And I really never bring this up. I think I've only brought it up once to say something disparaging, which I'll say again, which is there's a reason that, and I felt like not that they felt like they had to, but there is a reason that when it won a Scottish BAFTA for best scripted comedy, or not even for best scripted TV show, the whole cast were told to come along and come on stage. But to this day, I feel awful, like almost a bit embarrassed that we were in a category with shows like Shetland that was actually written. And if you've ever written something, you know how painstaking, hours, months, years getting scripts away, and we were just turning up, as you say, and just talking shite. And we won best script. I thought that was a joke.
That's brilliant.
I thought it was a joke. Take it back. But it was a nice gesture that were like, well, the whole cast has to come up and collect this because we all write it,
Amazing, man. And you did, wait, you mentioned college there. Was it an acting course that you did at first?
I don't like this. What's happening here?
No, but no, because that must have been mad taking the flip from going from acting into improvised comedy, but also when did stand-up come up?
Kind of, but I mean, stand-up was what I'd wanted to kind of do. I'd loved comedy, and as a way of kind of getting into that, I thought, do you have to do like an acting and performance course? I didn't know about comedy clubs or where you went, and it was kind of halfway through my college career I did stand-up for the first time. Cool. And so they were kind of always going, and even at college I really leant heavily towards the comedy side of stuff, and then that's where I met kind of who my main collaborators were, and we started to write sketches, and we had the How Do I Get Up There sketch show. And
amazing.
But no. Anyway, do you know what? Do you know what I think is going to be really nice that I think about it? I'm going to put out a double Martin Quinn thing. I feel we're going to have a bonus episode that's just for anyone that really loves to hear about behind the scenes and acting. And now we'll go into the actual podcast format.
Oh no,
I'm guilty of it as well because I'm enjoying it too much. It's great.
And also, I would just turn and start interviewing you on college. But that's the stuff I like talking about. I'm also just a little bit self-conscious because you gave me the questions and I don't think that my answers are very interesting. So, hence why I'm so happy to talk rubbish about other stuff.
If they're not interesting, there wouldn't be a bonus episode.
Great. The pressure's off. Can I ask, was it RSAMD that you were at?
Absolutely not. No, you can ask. I went to Langside College.
Oh, yes.
Which I feel like a whole host of people have come through more than I realised.
Yeah.
But I did audition for the academy. This is awful talking about myself. I never have to do this.
No, you should. Sally Reid went there.
I turned up at the academy, as it was, because I was so alien to that world. I'd never done like youth theatre or anything. I was a big sports guy when I was younger, and I turned up there and saw everyone that was waiting to go in, and just the whole atmosphere of it. That was my first audition for anywhere before I'd even went to Langside.
Yeah.
And after about 10 minutes of sitting there, I left. I walked out, and I walked all the way back to the car, and I was like, not a panic attack as such, but I just had a real freak out, and I phoned my mum, and I was like, she was like, how did it go? I was like, I just couldn't do it. I said, I feel completely out of place. I'm not like all the people there, and what am I doing? I had a bit of a kind of what am I doing in my life moment, and she like talked me around, and she was like, just get in and do it. It doesn't matter, and all the rest of it. Because I really felt like a total fish out of water. But I am pleased that she talked me into going, because it was a horrible, awkward experience. But as you say, sometimes you just have to push through.
Aye, man.
And doing my piece, and then I didn't realise that you had to have like
your sheet music to do songs. Then I was like having to ask actors. I was like, could I borrow? Have you got something I could use and all this? And so I felt awful, but I think having done that one first, it meant that when I did the Langside edition, I was a bit more like, it can't be any more scary than that.
Absolutely, man. And then also I felt I got really, because so many of my drama school auditions went so badly, I got really good at auditioning for drama school.
Oh,
Like
that's
bit
good.
by bit,
Yeah,
you started
yeah.
being like, and I knew how to wangle it a little bit.
Right.
Like I knew the notes that they would give me. So I did the Cripple of Inishmaan, I think it was called. It's a Martin McDonagh play.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I gave him a limp and I did the accent, that the first note would always be drop the limp and drop the accent, and then I would just do it how I would probably have done it anyway. And then
they're like, oh, he takes direction well.
Yeah.
You're like, I've set this up, suckers.
They don't have enough time to give you redirection. We've got to move on to your Shakespeare. And then I was like, brilliant. And I knew they always do almost the same direction. When I did Lancelot Gobbo, this speech, I couldn't even tell you how it goes, but he's weighing up whether or not to run away or to stay with his master. It's in Merchant of Venice. And I just knew that they were going to do something about weighing that up. It was just such a they always do the same thing. And I was like, this is fine, man. So I probably got into a drama school by playing the system, not because I was actually the right candidate. But anyway, fuck it. But Langside, I think Sally went there. Ruben Joseph went there.
Yep.
Quite a few people went there.
Yeah, Richard Rankin.
Oh, yeah.
And, is that his actual name now? Sorry, yes, it is Richard Rankin.
Oh, so he got a
I
human
knew him
name?
as Richard Harris, but obviously there was another pretty astound Richard Harris.
Fair enough.
And his brother and Matt McClure. There was a good Ian DeCasticker and stuff. And,
Oh, right. I didn't realise he went there.
yeah. But do you know who else went there? God, no, I'm not getting into the podcast. Rosie Graham went there, who seems to know you as well.
Yeah.
Because we just did a play, the stage version of It's a Wonderful Life. And I was telling her about the funny Star Trek connection. Even she was like, oh, you should get him on the podcast. Honestly, he'd love that. And I was like, but she was singing your praises.
Oh, she's lovely. We just filmed something for Cora Bissett one time. She wanted to kind of make a taster tape for something. Yeah. And then they did that play that was about the Beatles fans.
Oh,
and I had to do a voiceover of Paul McCartney at the end, but I didn't really sound like Paul McCartney, to be honest. I sounded like me. So I think everyone was like, who the fuck's that meant to be? But anyway, she was in that play. So yeah, I've met her a couple of times. She's lovely. She's brilliant.
This is great.
Has she been on this?
She hasn't, but I should try and get her on. But basically, when she came up from London to do the play, we took a break from the podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Because we were in rehearsals. But
where
was
that?
A good idea at Oranmore.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Man, I'm terrible. I'm so out the loop. Sorry.
Let's get back into the loop.
Yes.
Of the podcast. That here endeth the wonderful culture section.
Yeah. The culture segment.
Stop Watering Dead Flowers podcast. Are we doing all right for like battery power and everything?